Nia walked with a heavy heart, her feet dragging against the dry earth as the warriors and villagers escorted her to the village boundary. Her mind swirled with disbelief. A mighty warrior like her, banished for a crime she did not commit. The weight of injustice pressed on her chest, but she refused to let them see her break. She would not give them that satisfaction. From a distance, Jengo watched, his heart torn in two. He wanted to fight for his sister, to defend her honor, but he knew it would only make things worse. Their father, King Toba, and the rest of the royal family had stayed behind, unable to bear the grief of this moment. The old king's face had been one of sheer devastation when the judgment was passed. The greatest warrior of their generation, his daughter, cast away like a criminal. As they reached the boundary, the warriors stopped. The oldest among them, a respected elder, stepped forward. The weight of tradition dictated that such a decision was final. Nia looked back, her eyes searching their faces, looking for any sign of hesitation, of regret. There was none. Swallowing the lump in her throat, she turned and walked away. Her heart pounded in her chest, a mixture of anger, sorrow, and confusion clouding her thoughts. She hadn't gone far when she sensed something. Someone was following her. Years of training had sharpened her instincts. Quickly, she turned, her body tense and ready to fight. Jengo. She gasped, her emotions colliding in a storm of grief and relief. He stood there, watching her with eyes full of pain. Without thinking, she rushed to him, wrapping her arms around him. Tears spilled down her cheeks as she buried her face in his shoulder. He held her tightly, the weight of their shared loss pressing between them. Jengo knew that lingering too long was dangerous. The village was strict, and suspicions could easily arise. He promised her he would return whenever he could, though deep inside he questioned whether he would even be strong enough to endure the burden of their new reality. As he turned away, the sight of his sister, standing alone against the vast open plains, burned into his memory. Days turned into weeks. The burden of grief weighed heavily on Jengo's shoulders. He had always been strong, always been a warrior, but now, with Nia gone, he felt hollow. He found solace in the local brew, drinking more each day to numb the pain. He knew it was dangerous, knew he was becoming a shadow of himself, but he didn't care. Occasionally, he would sneak away to visit Nia, bringing her news and supplies, but each visit was a risk. If he were caught, he would be banished as well. But Jengo didn't care. The only thing that mattered to him anymore was Nia. Then, disaster struck. Word of Nia's banishment and Jengo's downfall had spread beyond the village. Their enemies, a rival Maasai tribe, saw this as an opportunity. The great female warrior was gone, and her brother, once a formidable warrior, had become a drunkard. The Maasai were vulnerable. They attacked without warning. The enemy forces moved in swiftly, their warriors taking advantage of the element of surprise. Chaos erupted. Fires spread through the village as huts were burned. The air was thick with the stench of smoke and blood. Cattle were stolen, the lifeblood of the Maasai way of life, and the people were left in shambles. The few warriors who still held their discipline fought valiantly, but were overpowered. The attack was not just an assault, it was a humiliation. Jengo had been with Nia when it happened. When he returned, he found the village in ruins. Smoke still lingered in the air, the cries of the wounded echoing through the broken settlement. He should have felt rage. He should have felt sorrow, but he felt nothing. He walked through the devastation, past the collapsed homes and the faces twisted in despair. The people turned to him, begging him to rally the warriors for revenge. He was, after all, the son of King Toba. He had been the village's strongest warrior, but Jengo refused. The same people who had cast out his sister, who had watched as he drowned himself in grief, now looked to him as their savior. Their desperation disgusted him. He had nothing left for them. He turned his back on them, walking away. Whispers turned to accusations. The village elders gathered. They had tolerated his drinking, but this was different. This was betrayal. Jengo was caught sneaking out again to see Nia. This time, there was no leniency. The decision was swift. He was to be banished. The moment the judgment was given, a terrible cry echoed through the village. King Toba had collapsed. The calamity, the loss of both his children, was too much. His heart gave out, and he passed away before anyone could save him. The village fell into mourning, but amidst the sorrow, another storm was brewing. With King Toba gone, the question of leadership arose. The elders debated, the warriors argued, and the village stood divided. Then, from the chaos, a traitor emerged. One of their own, a man who had long desired power, seized control. He was not chosen by tradition, nor by wisdom, but by force. He capitalized on fear and disorder, claiming the title of king for himself. His rule was harsh. He strengthened his personal guard, ensuring no one could challenge him. Those who opposed him were silenced. The traditions that once bound the Maasai together were twisted, used as tools of oppression instead of honor. And just like that, everything changed. The Maasai, once great and proud, had fallen. Their warriors were leaderless. Their strongest fighters were gone. And now, a man with darkness in his heart sat on the throne. Beyond the village, in the solitude of exile, Nia and Jengo watched from afar. They knew that the fight was far from over. A storm was coming, and when it did, they would be ready. The true battle was only beginning.